Hey everybody, welcome to Three Dad Bods with Brent, Carl, and Shawn. How y'all doing? Happy Easter, everybody.
Happy Easter.
Hey, happy Easter, man. You guys are looking both pretty casual and enjoying life.
Hope you all had a good time with your families today, and hopefully it's not snowing for you, Carl.
No, we finally got some good weather for a change. So it's 65, almost 70 degrees
wow.
here. So all the snow.
Yeah,
it was
Get rid of
quick
buds.
funny story. Yeah, I was up at the U yesterday, University of Utah.
greatest
Believe me,
university on earth.
I hate that place, but I was watching a track meet, and so when you walk onto the track, they don't have any stands there, of course, and so all they have is this grass, but it had like 6 inches of snow on it. So, but it's 60 degrees outside, so you can imagine what's going on.
Welcome
So I'm sitting there
Holy
trying to angle my way to the track where a good spot was, and all of a sudden, 375, 90 pounds goes whoop. And bam, and just then, of course, the snow is wet, really wet because it's hot. And so I get up, and there's this dude up above me that's like, "Are you okay, old man?" I'm like, "Jeez, man, okay." And so I get up, so I start walking, and this is like, okay, so much for that stupid idea of trying to transverse this entire yard, strip of grass. I'm going straight up to the fence and then hold on for dear life. As I'm going up to the fence, whoop, straight down
Twice.
face first.
Strike two.
Twice. No, 3 times. I fell 3 times. I had mud everywhere. I mean, it was
You had to
horrible.
get both sides.
Anyway, yeah, I didn't. You know what? It's funny. My backside was nice and dry. But yeah. Anyway.
How'd your boy do?
He did well. It wasn't his main event. He doesn't usually run it, but he did all right. I mean, he did a 4:10 1500, which it's not very fast in college, but it's I mean, it'd be like a 4:25 1 mile, so it's average. His events are the longer distance ones, like the steeplechase and the 5K.
So he can run a mile in 4:25.
Yeah, it's not very fast.
That's incredibly fast, man.
Well, for us it is.
For me to do
That is
sick. In 425, I need to have some gasoline in an engine.
I don't think I could do a mile in 20 minutes, let alone 5.
So we had at the gym yesterday. It's a benchmark day, and they had a 12-minute run. So for 12 minutes straight, you run, right?
Right.
And I mean, like I did my previous best was 1.5 even. I did 1.57. So I mean, in 12 minutes. So it makes me sound terrible compared to your boy there,
Well,
it's like he could walk that fast.
52 years old, so you're basically doing a 6-minute mile. That isn't bad. That's pretty good, Brent.
I'm probably 100 miles or 100 pounds heavier than he is too.
He's like 142. Yeah, he's incredibly skinny.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
I don't know if he's mine. I'm gonna have to do a genetic test on him and make sure. I'm just teasing. Hopefully, my ex doesn't hear that. Anyway,
so as we're kind of talking a little bit, but how you been with your transformation challenge? How you've been able to cut back on the Dr. Pepper's Bailey?
Hold on a minute. I'm a little confused. Transformation challenge. Are you taking hormones?
Yeah.
Are you taking estrogen?
Yeah, so
no, Carl's. I'm Carl's sponsor and dropping some pounds here.
Really?
Transforming his body. Yeah.
The estrogen's already packed on. Thank you, fat. But no, I've been. That's
true, actually.
Well, I did mess up on my date last night. I had a 32 ounce.
62 ounces.
Diet Dr. Pepper with strawberry. It was good.
It was
tasty.
Though. That's not as
well. It was, but the strawberry flavoring, I'm sure, had sugar in it.
Not nearly what a normal Dr. Pepper would.
I didn't have the
good
popcorn.
job.
And I had
Good for you
I
though.
had
And
and I
carbonation though.
had
Got to get rid of that
the
carbos.
we went to a lobster sandwich shop, and I had the nacho raw fish, so that was pretty good. I wasn't bad, you know.
Good job,
So
Carl.
I
So
actually felt.
have you lost any weight?
I think so. I haven't checked. I
Uh-huh.
mean, you know, I'm not a scale
Yeah,
guy, so my clothes feel better. I feel better, so my
that's
clothes are feeling better, a little bit
Good.
better.
Good.
So I'm thinking I'm making progress. I'm well, this week I'm gonna go to the gym and sign up for the swimming, and also do. I'm just gonna do weights at first, and try to strengthen my core and the big muscles. They burn the most fat anyway, right? And then also too this week I was going to start experimenting with the fasting. I think I'm going to start out, Brent, like you're suggesting, which is only the eat in a 6 hour window, and
Mm-hmm.
then maybe I'll start out 8 hours and then move it to six. Then I might even try that every other day. We'll see. I mean, if the 8 hours or 6 hours works just fine, I'll just keep it there.
Give it a
So,
shot. Give it a shot. I
yeah.
I have to
Shawn,
say, and this has
yeah,
nothing to do with anything, but the way that our cameras are set up right now, all I can see is Carl's top part of your
yeah.
head, and I can only see
yeah.
Sean's bottom part of his head. So you guys have made one morph of a person.
What a sexy dude. What a sexy man. All right. That's it. We're all three sexy guys. Speaking of sexy guys we haven't seen in a long time, Mr. Shawn Smith, tell us a little bit what's been going on with you.
You had surgery, right?
What's that? Yeah.
Yeah.
You had surgery, right?
Yeah. Just had LASIK. Have wanted to do it for a long time, and finally decided to quit being a chicken and do it. So that's why I'm wearing
All right.
sunglasses.
So
My eyes are still a little sensitive, although outside in Arizona you should wear sunglasses anyway, so it doesn't give you cancer.
I was going to say you must be a rich guy to afford LASIK.
so I've been a wimp because like I can't put anything in my eyes at all. Like I've tried contacts, can't do it at all. And I've thought about LASIK, but like I mean I start to, you know, get nervous and panicky and stuff. So like how was it?
Yeah, it
Yeah.
wasn't. It was nothing like I had imagined.
Uh-huh.
um,
Was it better?
no,
No.
no.
Okay, that doesn't make me feel better.
I'm sorry to say it. So they gave me a little bit of a sedative, and when I say a little bit, I mean just enough to basically make my ears feel a little tingly, and then that's pretty much it. So I don't think it really did anything for me. Um,
Ooh.
They didn't even give you laughing gas like they would
nah,
for like
nah. They
a
basically
tooth.
give you
Oh,
Valium is basically what they give you.
Just a small little Valium
Just a
pill that like
little,
the night
yeah, and
before
then
or a couple
no,
hours before.
like a half hour before they do it. So,
Really?
and it was,
wow.
I don't think it did anything to me. But I'm pretty
Hmm.
mellow as it is anyway, so I don't know that I really needed it. And then they walk you into the surgical room, lay you down on a bench, um, and he explains everything to you before you come in, and then he re-explains what he's about to do. And
Nope. 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 Don't tell me. Just knock
don't
me out, and then you can tell me afterwards.
well,
Like give me a book or something
you know.
afterwards. You know.
So do they like laser you? Like it lasers your
So
eye,
so
or do they
well,
cut it?
they use so they ask if you want to do PRK or LASIK, and there's the difference
Uh-huh.
is PRK, they just burn the front of your eyeball off,
Oh,
and then the
ooh.
and it takes long.
Okay. So, but before you continue though,
Yeah,
were you? Was it? Are you like have a problem with distance or up close?
distance.
Distance. Okay. So exactly like me then. All
Now
right.
I have a problem up close, uh, but
Oh,
that's because
really?
I'm old. No,
Oh,
that's
geez.
an age thing.
Yeah. You need the
So
readers.
apparently LASIK doesn't help you with the old man eyes. It just helps you with distance. So, which is fine by me because I've had glasses since I was freaking 8 years old. So,
Yeah.
Hey, I could get you an AARP card if you want. You get a discount on readers.
I would have rather had
so
a
they bring you
discount on
in.
that surgery.
So they bring you in. They lay you down. He tells you what's going to happen. Then what happens?
Then they basically he puts a thing on top of your eyeball, and they say, "Okay, it's just gonna."
No. Nope. Nope.
I don't even know. I don't even know how to describe the thing that they put on your eyeball, but it basically gets cradled in your eye socket, so the bone around your eyeball.
I'm uncomfortable even talking about this.
Sick right now. I'm gonna vomit.
He squishes it.
Do you feel this?
He squishes it into that little manhole cover.
Oh my God.
That is the bone surrounding your eyeball.
And you're feeling all
feeling
this.
a lot of
absolutely. And then he's like,
oh my God.
his assistant's like, okay, you might feel a little squish. Like, and I can't tell you what I thought because
your eyeballs being squeezed and blown
like,
up.
Oh my
it might feel
God.
like your eyeball is being suctioned out of your head.
Seriously getting lightheaded thinking about this right now.
Thinking,
I'm seriously getting lightheaded.
I'm thinking, what, my eyeball's gonna pop out of my head? What's going on here?
Oh my God. Oh
you
Lord.
guys didn't describe this at all. This is what I'm thinking.
I would have gotten him.
voluntarily?
I would have just walked out. I would have been like, nope, see you guys. Thanks.
They would have
nice knowing
sat
you.
on you.
Did they strap you in?
No.
Did they strap you in?
Which I was a little surprised, to be quite honest. But yeah, so they put this thing on your eyeball, and then all of a sudden you see a red light, and that's the laser that's cutting the flap in your eyeball.
Don't go to the red light, Shawn.
Don't go to the light. Yeah, so they're like,
this sounds like the most horrible thing in the world.
It's like the eye of Satan looking at you in the chair. Anyway.
Oh my God.
So did it hurt?
No,
did it hurt? That's what I want to worry about.
They put numbing eye drops in. So my right eye. So they started with my right eye. They cut the flap with the laser. So I saw the red light that was the laser. Saw it move across my eye. And and then he says, "Okay, now you're going to see a green light, and it's going to smell like hair burning."
Oh my God.
Oh my gosh, that's your eyeball burning.
It was.
How long did the red light last?
A couple of seconds.
So it's quick. It's like
it's like it was like 5 seconds, 10 at the most. It wasn't even 10 seconds, 5 seconds.
Wow.
So when the end comes and I have to eat you and I smell burnt hair, that's your eyeball?
Yeah. So, and I did that twice. And
that's gross.
So what they laser the flap off the front of your eye on both of the eyes, and then they rotate the bed that you're on to a different laser to burn the surface of your eye off, and that's where it stinks. But
this sounds like Frankenstein.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, but the left eye, I told you they put numbing drops in right. My left eye, I don't know why, but I felt the laser cutting on my left eye. I felt it.
Oh.
So let me ask you a question. I don't know. I haven't really looked at LASIK surgery in the last 20 years, but do they have any videos of this kind of crap? Because I swear, if I would see something like that, I would not in a million years pay $1 to get my eyes like reamed out like you just did. That sounds like the worst experience.
Honestly, it wasn't really. It wasn't really that bad. I did my left eye. did get a bruise.
They got something crunching your eyeball. What do you mean
Well,
it's not that bad?
you're not wrong.
I can't get
You're
past
not
that.
wrong.
I can't get past
I
that.
got a bruise though on my eyeball.
He
God,
does.
I did.
no.
He
My
sent me a
left
picture.
eye. Did I send you that, Carl?
Oh,
My left eye. It
Yeah,
looks
you
like
did, you
somebody.
creep.
It looked like your eye after you got punched in grade school by Richard. I had a big old red
oh,
Yes, it
spot
did.
in my eye, and I asked him, "Oh, what happened there?"
oh.
And she's like, "Oh, that's a
That's
bruise."
bleeding.
Oh
Yeah, that's internal
man,
bleeding, Shawn.
the doctor
Yeah.
must have really shoved that thing into my eye to do that.
Why? Why are you not put out
You
more?
have to you
Like,
have to be
what's?
awake so that you can look at the laser. Otherwise, your eyes, when you're sleeping, your eyes wander, and you have to look up.
You didn't bring an edible with you just in case?
Oh God, I would have. I would have been so lit up. I'll tell you.
I'll,
I wouldn't
I'm
care.
just
I
I'm
would
just saying
have,
that might be a good suggestion for some people.
oh,
Yeah. The anxiety
this
I'd
is.
have sitting there. Oh, just after this story alone, I
So
don't
you
know
want to
if I could
hear
do
a
it.
little
No.
bit more? A little bit more. Okay,
Yeah, I
so
guess I
they tell
think.
you
I'm gonna
they
regret it.
they tell you, okay, don't rub your eyes the next couple of days because you'll rub the flap off. So just don't touch your
Of
eye,
course, you're
right?
always gonna do that, though.
What?
Of course, you're always gonna be thinking about rubbing your eyes
Oh,
the whole
it's
time.
like
Now that they
having
told
an
you
itch
that.
on your nose and being told you can't itch it. Yeah. So they give
So
Oh,
you
will the
they give
flap
you a
grow back?
shield to put over your eyes when you're sleeping for the next week, so you don't accidentally stick your fist in your eye or something. Look, I don't know what
Ooh.
happened, but the flap on my right eye wasn't healing right, and my eye was just watering constantly, and it hurt. So I had the surgery done on Saturday, and then Tuesday morning I called him and I just said my right eye kind of stings a little bit, and it's blurry, and it just doesn't. It's not. It doesn't seem like it's healing the way you described that it would. So she tells me, uh, okay, get up here and we'll take a look at it. So I drive up to Scottsdale and they get me right into the room. She looks at my eye and she's like, oh my gosh. And I thought, oh, that's not a good way for an eye doctor to react.
she says, "Oh my
Yeah.
gosh."
Yeah.
Hold on, wait, wait, wait,
Hurry,
wait.
stat.
Was this one of them Groupon deals that you
No,
got?
no, it was not. No. Uh-uh.
Uh, didn't you tell me it was a doctor trying to start his practice?
It was
He's
no,
kind
he's
of new
not
at it.
new at it. Is a Canadian doctor that yeah,
Oh, there's
he
your
came here
problem
to
right
escape
there.
the high taxes of Canada, and I guess so. He's got a practice in Washington and Vancouver, and he wanted to come down here and start one too. I actually looked really close into him, and he's very highly regarded. But anyway, he there was nothing.
Sounds like the
I
most
I
horrible
I
thing.
must have touched or bumped or did something because the flap wasn't sitting in the manhole cover the way she described it. It wasn't sitting properly, and so she put numbing drops in my eye again, and then she said we're gonna have to give you an eye band-aid, and she basically just put contacts in my eyes and told me to wear
Oh,
these contacts for the next few days. So tomorrow morning I'm going back in, and she's gonna pull them out.
Oh
so what
my.
if the flap sticks to the contacts?
Ah.
Have you ever thought of
Yeah,
that?
I did think about that, and
Oh, this
she
is
said
getting
no, that's
worse.
not gonna happen. You're so she
All
just
right,
said
good, good.
put in.
Sorry to
So
scare you a little
I
bit.
had to eye drops, steroid eye drops, and anti-inflammatory and uh, antibiotic eye drops.
Well, your
So
sunglasses look great, Shawn. I
yeah,
appreciate you wearing them because we wouldn't want to look at your eyes right now. That
you
would be
wouldn't think.
scary.
I am so glad
Okay.
that we've had this conversation because there is no way I am ever doing that.
Well,
So
time for dinner.
so that
Just kidding.
that made it
How
sound
about
so
some
much worse
eggs?
than it was. It really wasn't that
Okay.
bad.
Well,
So
well, it's funny
I
when
can't
they
get
say
past the clamp.
Lasik.
I can't get past the clamp on your eye. I'm sorry.
Well, you think in 20 years that the technology would have gotten better, because I remember this technology has been out since we were kids, right?
You realize that they used to cut your eye open, the flap, with a razor blade.
Yeah.
They don't do that anymore. It's all
yeah.
laser based. It's all computerized and laser. It's way better now than what it used to be.
So once your eyeball got mashed, how long did it take before the eyeball getting mashed to getting out of the chair? Was it pretty quick then? It was a pretty quick
15 minutes from the time I laid down to the time I popped up. So, and
that's cool.
You know, they tell you things like, well, when you stand up, you'll immediately see better. And you kind of do a little bit, but I think it's a little bit of an exaggeration, because I mean, everything is still a little bit blurry, and at this point it's a little cloudy because you got, you know, half your eye has been removed temporarily.
So are you going to need to learn Braille? I can help you with that.
I can see really well. I can see very, very well right now. So,
my wife had it done in like the early 90s, but it was like you were talking about, Carl, where they took the blade across it. And I remember going to, I mean, it was somewhere like on the east side in Salt Lake, like maybe 7th East and 4800 South or something like that. And remember walking into the place with her, because I was with her to, you know, because obviously can't drive and stuff afterwards, and took her in, and like I went into the room with her and she laid down, you know, kind of like you were talking about, Shawn, and then they came out with all them tools and I just stood up and I walked out. I was like, nope, nope, She's like, where are you going? I'm like, I am not watching this.
Were you there when she gave birth?
Yeah. Yeah. And actually, I will say,
the eyes gave you issues.
I can't handle eyes, though. I honestly can't.
Hey, now we can't be talking about birth on Three Dad Mods podcast. Come on now, that's the sacred thing for the wives.
Well, no, but I will say, like, I can handle seeing that. I can handle watching a heart surgery or something like that. It's just something about eyes that freak me out. I can't handle it at all.
Really? I've had contacts my whole life, so it doesn't bother me.
And I've tried contacts, and I can't do it. Like, I just, there's no way.
Got an issue with the eyes. And
yeah.
It's not you have a phobia.
I do.
You got to look into it, Brent. There's therapy for that. I remember, speaking of the burnt stuff, that's what bothered me the most about this story. Because I remember when I got my wisdom teeth out, sitting there in the chair, they numbed the crap out of my face. I could barely feel it. And then all of a sudden, he's like, looks like it's a little impacted. Hold on 1 second. Then I hear this crunch, crunch, crunch. And I'm like, what the hell is that? And he's like, oh, that's me using a razor to open up your jaw. I'm like, what? And I'm thinking, he used scissors literally to clip open the area that was giving him the problem, so he could pull the
Brent's thinking eyeballs, mine's teeth out. The mouth, teeth.
Really?
Yeah.
Nope. No.
You don't like that, huh?
No.
Yeah, but they numb you so much with teeth. Like, you never... I mean, most of the time, you just get that gas. You just get yourself knocked out, you know?
Okay, so here's a question. And this is something 50-year-old guys should worry about. And maybe all three of us haven't had the snip, but I hear that that's an outpatient procedure. You walk in.
What?
It takes them less than 5 or 6 minutes to snip it. And then you sit on the peas for the rest of the week, and you're better within 5 days.
No.
Getting a bisectomy.
No.
You haven't had it?
No.
No
scissors.
We should have a guest. We should have a guest.
No, unless it's trimming up, manscaping. There's no scissors going anywhere down in that area whatsoever.
Any dad bods that have had the experience, please let us know on the group page, and we'll talk to you later.
My wife got
anyway
the tubes tied when she had our last kid because they were already in there. So.
Well, they can do a lot of cool stuff right now with you awake. So I don't think I'll mind if it's inside me where I can't hear anything or smell anything. It's the stuff that happens right next to my face. That's the stuff that bothers me. So Yeah.
I just want to be knocked out for stuff. You do whatever you want. And apparently, so like, speaking of the dentist, I get the gas, it knocks you out, you're out of it.
It's
But
good stuff.
apparently, when I come to, I always have a go-to story, which was years ago, I had a heart ablation. So I had a
Ooh.
small hole in my heart that would, as my heart was pumping, it would squirt blood out of that hole, and then it would send my heart into a tailspin, about 200
Oh, I
beats per minute.
remember.
So just boop, 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 boop,
Wow.
boop, boop, boop. Yeah. And like I would try to sneeze, I would stick my face in cold water to kind of shock it, and eventually I'd have to go to the hospital where they would inject me with this fluid that makes your heart stop, which is the craziest thing on earth. Because literally the phrase "time stands still," it's exactly what happens. Everything just goes brrr, brrr,
Wow.
And so they they go in and they go in through your groin, and they come up and around, and then they just burn a little spot on the whole of the heart.
Hey,
Well, my go-to story apparently whenever I come out of this is telling the story of the lady that comes in and shaves me, because it was very uncomfortable, as
why
I
was
was
it
expecting a
uncomfortable?
man to come in. This lady
Was she
comes
using
in.
dull blades?
Well, first of all, have you ever been in a prep room? It is
Yeah.
cold as
Yes, I
cold can
have
be in
been
there.
there.
It's like 50 degrees inside there.
Did you
So
have the little apron on too?
no,
The little.
no, I
Oh.
didn't. So like she comes and she starts shaving my leg, which I'm like, oh, that's cool. It's probably a guy that would come in and get under the hood and everything like that. But no, she starts talking to me and then talking more and more, and I'm getting a little more and more uncomfortable. She's just like flipping things around and going around with everything. And so apparently when I, I had some dental surgery where they had to remove a tooth and fix a bone and stuff. And as I came out, that was the story that I told all of the dental assistants in there. Was this lady
Well.
shaving my junk?
Nice.
Oh, okay. That's a good one. I had a friend of mine on my mission. We had to go to the hospital. I don't know what the heck happened to him, but he was in a little jumper they put you in, naked underneath, right? And he said that there was a nurse. He was telling us this after, and he's like, "So this nurse, man, she's like going down there, trying to figure what's going on down there." And he says, "I kind of got erect," and I said, "Well, that's embarrassing." And he's like, "It was, man. I didn't want to do that." And I said, "Well, what happened?" She says, "She grabs it and then she pops it. She popped it, like popped it hard." And he says, "It didn't. I didn't want to do anything after that. I mean, that sucker just dropped like a rock."
So,
And I
wasn't her first time.
No, she's like, "Don't worry about it, pal.
Um,
Happens all the time."
Oh my
So,
gosh.
yeah. So whack. Yeah. So just expect if that ever happens, you're going to get whacked. So don't
Ouch.
worry. It'll be okay. I guess doctors, could you imagine being a nurse or a doctor? I mean,
Oh my goodness. The
No.
stuff that you have.
No.
Look, when I was 14, I went in, same type of deal, with your buddy. I went in, I had some virus. All I was wearing was just my underwear, and because they were running all these tests on me, and then they had to take some blood. Well, I have this. It's crazy. I have this thing about needles too. Like I have all these tattoos, but like you stick a needle in me to take blood in me, and I just get all hyperventilating and stuff like that.
Do you get woozy?
Oh my goodness.
Okay.
So like they took blood out, and I got really nauseous, and I felt like I was either going to pass out or throw up. So I get up and I run out into the hallway to run to the bathroom to throw up, and I passed out in the hallway. 14 years old, wearing nothing but a pair of underwear in the hallway of this doctor's office, and I woke up with these nurses smacking my face, waking me up and stuff.
So Shawn, let me ask you this. I don't know what kind of. Okay, so before I would do any type of medical procedure, I'm kind of one of these worry warts. So I'll sit there and I'll study up on it. I'll go to the Google and I'll read all the stuff I can possibly get my hands on, the pros, the cons, and of course freak myself out about it most of the time. talk to my dad or mom who will tell me never do anything to affect your body. And then I'll talk to someone that says, "Hey, yeah, go ahead and do it. No big deal." How did you approach this with the LASIK procedure?
So, I mean, it's something I've wanted to do for a long time. So it was not really a big deal. I just, I've watched it, like you were talking about. I mean, it's just something that I've just been very aware of because that's something I've wanted to do for a long time. So I didn't really do anything. Now, when I had my back surgery,
Mm-hmm.
that was very different. I read about that from.
You had to have that though,
Oh yeah,
right?
yeah. That was that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was. Yeah.
Was it a disc that was out of what happened on the back
So
surgery?
on my back and my neck surgery, I just had a couple of discs that were basically crushed. So yeah,
Oh, geez.
yeah, good.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah, I remember that. Like you were
Wear and
always in
tear
pain
or
all
an
the
Yeah,
accident?
time.
yeah.
Was it an accident or
Um,
wear and tear that caused
just
the?
bad genes, bad genetics, and I had been in a couple of car accidents, and growing up, we were wild as hell, and doing things like riding my bike across the block wall behind the church and falling off that and going, the jump that was down the street a little bit from your house in the going off that, and
Yeah.
just a lot. I pretty kind of wild as a kid, so I think my body just took some abuse. Plus, my grandparents, both of them they had their farm stuff, and so I was like a migrant worker with one of them going down rows of vegetables, pulling weeds and picking stuff, and just being hunched over. Yeah, just all of that together.
I heard the pain is incredible. My dad, he had disc surgery, and I mean, it was just amazing the pain he went through. Um, so I can understand, like, well, toothache. I don't know if any of you had a tooth removed.
No, I
Yeah.
But when you have a root canal, yeah, you'll do anything to take that pain away.
Yeah.
I mean, you'd be literally like, pull them all out. I don't care.
You can't
Right
never
this
get
second.
comfortable.
No. So. Well, hey, Shawn, this has been great talking about your eyeball for the last half hour.
It's
Um,
terrible.
you missed our our talk last week, though, and we wish you were there because you're pretty close to Mark. But we were talking about the Nashville shooting and how suddenly and how horrible it is when a loved one gets suddenly taken away. And I know you were close to Mark, and so we wanted to find out a few stories from you. Maybe you have a couple stories for us about Mark or that day in
Oh
particular.
boy. So the day, man. So Brent and I have talked about the day, and I haven't listened to the last week's deal, so I don't know if you talked about this, Brent. But Brent and I talked about the day of it, and he was talking about how he was driving to Vegas. And did you talk about this, Brent?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Was it
California.
California?
Yeah.
And you just felt like something was
Yeah.
wrong, and so I had a similar
Yep.
experience. I'm in my house in Minnesota, and I'm taking care of one of my baby. I think I was changing a diaper, and I just had this really strange feeling come over me, and it was specific about Mark, and it was just like something bad happened, and I thought, this is weird, and try to brush it off. And the next day, my dad called me and told me what happened, and when I had that thing going on, it turned out that was the time frame. And so I don't know, that it's such a strange experience. And you know, it, when you're so close to a person and you love someone like that, there's there must be some kind of connection. And it was really interesting to find out that Brent had had a similar experience. And just, yeah, it was really horrible. Really terrible.
Well, tell
You know,
tell us
and
tell us your experience when you came to the funeral. Tell us the well. I mean, you were there,
Yeah,
if I remember right. Were you
no,
already living in
what,
Phoenix at the time, or were you?
you picked
That's
me
right.
up
I
at the
picked you up at the
airport.
airport, didn't I?
You and Glenn
That's
and
right.
Ralph picked me up at the airport.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I was down there
So
early.
yeah, you and Glenn and I drove up there together and stayed with Glenn. You and Glenn
hmm
for a couple of days. What do you want to talk about? I mean, it.
Well, I mean, what were your feelings about the funeral? Do you remember anything specific that jumps out at you, or do you have just a good story about Mark that would make us all laugh? Because
The funeral was really difficult. Um, I hadn't seen Mark. I think it had been about a year because I was living up in Minnesota. We were able to see each other um, in Salt Lake the year before, and that was the last time I had seen him. And so walking up um, to the casket before the actual funeral, when we were there with Karen and his mom and April and Darren, and it was I don't know, I just surreal and terrible, and I just I mean, just thinking about it now is just
okay,
terrible. But it's just,
just kind of
well,
hard on you.
Carl, it's you loved him too, and
hmm
you go up and see someone that you've known most of your life there and in that state, and it's
shocking.
shocking, and it's, I mean, I
It doesn't
wanted to
seem
throw
real.
up. It was just surreal and terrible, and I just I don't even know what to say. It was just horrible. And then I turn around and there's Karen holding Jeremy, this little baby that's a spitting image of Mark. And I just, oh my gosh, I couldn't do it. And I took two steps and there was Brent, and all of a sudden Brent's hugging me and holding on to me, and I just lost it and just started bawling my eyes out, and Brent was there
Yeah.
and holding me, and it the same moment. It was one of the worst experiences of my life, but also very comforting and loving of Brent to be there and to put his arm around me and comfort me, because it was such a terrible thing, and it's something that I appreciate to this day, and that Brent did that, and love you, Brent. Yeah, it helped. It
Yeah.
helped a lot. And then Matt Batchelor, the goofball, Brent steps aside, and there's Matt, and he thought I said, "Who are you?" I said, "How are you, Matt?" And he's like, "Oh, I'm Matt. I'm Matt Batchelor." What are you talking about? I know you're Matt. What are you? It was just, I started laughing, because that was the our
So,
relationship with between us, Matt and Brent, Carl, Mark, Glenn, Larry, Marty, all these that was our relationship, just the fun and brotherly love that we had for each other. And in one moment, in just within a few seconds, going from horrified uh, experience of looking at Mark to being loved by Brent, and then Matt making me laugh because he didn't think I knew who he was, just within a few minutes, just having all of those different experiences. That explains who we all were as kids growing up,
Yeah. Yeah. And I was going to ask you, Shawn, because
Sorry.
this is something that's been a challenge. Well, it's been a challenge for me too, because, I've had, besides Mark, I had another really good, close person, a close friend from my mission that I was really tight with. And we could talk about anything at any time. And, when he passed away, it was right during the middle of my divorce. And it was really tough because I didn't really feel like I had anybody to talk to other than my parents and, you guys. But I mean, it was just a different relationship with him. And I know some of you guys had that kind of relationship with Mark. I wasn't quite as close as you guys. But when this anniversary comes up every March, I mean, you start feeling those feelings again that, you miss that person that's a hole in your life. What do you do to let that feeling? Do you embrace it? Do you listen to some music? I mean, what kind of things do you do when you're missing someone? It doesn't just, I'm just not
Right.
talking about Mark, but anyone that's passed. What do you do?
It's interesting because you talk about March coming around every year, and I get a little bit grumpy when March comes around, and I don't.
You're grumpy
Yeah,
all the
a little
time.
bit. That's
Just
part of the
grumpy.
genes. Yeah, yeah.
Get off my lawn.
I look for some kid
Get off my
to yell at
cactus.
for being on my lawn.
Get off my desert rock.
I actually have grass in my front yard. Not a lot, but a little bit.
You're rich. You're rich.
Right. No,
Anyway, sorry.
I get a
Go
little
ahead.
bit
I'm
grumpy,
distracting you.
and I don't mean to, and I don't really understand it, and then I realize after a few days of just being kind of irritable, oh, it's March. Okay. All right. It'll be okay. And then, I just spend some time reflecting. I do listen to music. I listen to some specific things. And then I, just think about some of the fun memories that we had as groups, and some that Mark and I shared as individuals together, and it gets you through. The first couple of years after he was killed, I was pretty angry. I was an angry person.
Mm-hmm. I remember if I wanted an update on the court case, I just had to talk to you because you seemed to know everything about what was going on with the guy who got put in prison. How did you let that go? I mean, I did notice that. I thought you were really wrapped into it emotionally, but what eventually turned that corner for you?
Somebody told a story. I was wrapped up into it, and I was, like I said, I was really angry. I mean, Mark was like a brother, like Brent, and just like a brother. And you have
Mm-hmm.
some experiences with a person that you don't have with others, and that brings you closer together. And he and I were planning on joining the Marine Corps together, and I mean, that's we were tight, so it was terrible. But so yeah, I was pissed, I was angry, and so Gordon Hinckley gave a speech, and um, he talked about a woman who was driving down a freeway, and a kid was standing above the freeway on an overpass and threw something off the overpass. I don't remember if it was a boulder. I keep thinking a watermelon. I don't know. Anyway, it crashed through the windshield of this woman, and it nearly killed her. And his story talked about how the kid was arrested, um, and she asked the court for mercy for the kid, and she forgave the kid. And I don't know why, but that really struck me, and it hit me really hard, and I just felt an instantaneous lifting of the burden of hating this person that had done that, and that was the moment that things changed for me a little bit, and I'm really
You know,
grateful for it
Yeah.
because I wasn't in a good place.
I'll tell you something. Mark Mark would want us to
Yeah, he
forgive
would.
him. That's
I,
just the
I
kind of
know.
person Mark was. You know, and Mark honestly would probably become friends with the guy after everything that happened, you know. That's just who
Yep.
he was. And what he would want us to do is to forgive him and just remember what
Yep.
we had.
Yeah.
You know, what we all had growing up, and you talk about, you know, that week. That's when, I mean, I think this is the first week, Shawn, you and I haven't talked during that week because you've had your surgery and been so busy. But you know, every week at that time we talk and we reminisce
Yep.
about childhood
Yeah. For
stuff, you know.
23
And
years, we've been talking that week. Yep.
20, yeah, and it's you know, it, it's the glue that kind of holds us together, if you would. But I think it just reminds us of what a great childhood we all really had. You know, we grew up, you know, knowing each other our whole lives. I mean, if something happened to you, I'd be there in a minute. You know, if you needed me, I'd put down stuff and I would be there for you. And I think that we all have that knowledge and that understanding of each other that we're, you know, I've called you several times when I've had issues and problems, and you know, have reached out. And it's like you said, there's people that you talk to that you can't talk to other people about because nobody nobody knows me as well as you guys do, you know.
Sometimes I
Hmm.
wish it.
Yeah. No, Brent, you just gave the ultimate Easter. I mean, it's Easter today, you know, and uh, to be honest, I went to church and you know hear the stories and but this really hit home. Just what you just said a minute ago. So I can call you Father Brent from now
Well,
on. But
there's about 20 kids
uh,
out there that call him father.
bless me for I've sinned. But no, I think forgiving those who have wronged us. I mean, life's about moving on when we have struggles or trials, and I think sometimes we get stuck in these negative loops that keep us from moving forward. And Brett, I think you identified what the best way is to forgive. I mean, ultimately, that's what God did, right? And I mean, if you believe in God, which I do, and I feel that ultimately, you know, what they did to His Son. I mean, can Mark or can we expect anything less from ourselves in terms of that? Excuse me, that young 17-year-old who shot our friend
Yeah.
probably didn't know what the heck he was doing. Probably comes from a background that we had never imagined ourselves coming through. You know, when you put all those factors together, I mean, and it's been a few years now. I mean, I can let it go. I'm glad, Shawn, you were able to. I was worried about you there for a couple of years.
You know,
I actually thought you moved to Phoenix because of the whole thing with
No, we
Mark.
were
I mean, to be
we were
serious.
actually planning
No.
to move down here before that happened anyway. So
you know what, one thing too, you know, with it being Easter and stuff, and something that you brought up, because Shawn and I had a very similar experience that night, you know, that everything happened. And I think all of us have a moment in our life that reaffirms our faith, that tells us, you know, you could go through whole life, you know, wishing and hoping, or you have experiences that guide you and build your strength. And that's why I never question anybody on their religion and why they choose what they do, because you have, each of us has experiences in our lives that verify to us, yes, this is correct. Yes, this is correct. And that that time is one that I always fall on. Everybody asks, well, how do you believe in God? How do you know he exists? You can't see him, you can't feel him, you can't, but you can, because of an experience. Like, two people 1,300 miles away from each other at the same exact time have the same exact premonition. Okay, that isn't a random experience. That's a fact. I can't deny that. And
It's not a chemical reaction.
exactly.
Yeah, why would you both have the same
Very
chemical reaction at the same time?
Exactly.
That's
and almost to a T what both Shawn and I
Yep.
felt. And so
Mhm.
and none of us had spoken to each other previously about it, or we didn't talk about it
Yeah,
until he came
and it's
down to
strange
Phoenix about it.
And it's strange how all three of us were involved,
Yeah.
even though we had completely different things going on in our lives at the moment. How all three of us were interconnected in that moment, which was crazy. Because I called Brent,
Yeah.
and then Brent found out for me, Shawn, but he had already felt that feeling the day before, right? On your way to Elko, you were feeling this. I got to turn around. Feeling. So yeah, that's pretty incredible.
Yeah.
So, well, Shawn, appreciate you sharing on that. I know it's a tough subject for you, and I we appreciate
it's good to
your
talk
contribution
about
on the subject.
because, if anybody ever has any kind of experience like that, I'm horribly, horribly sorry that a person is experiencing that, because it is one of the worst things to go through. But I hope that maybe my experience can help someone else sometime. I don't know. That's like Brent was saying earlier. Mark would want good things to come out of any situation, and including this situation, and so that's what I hope for. So, you guys, did you share any fun stories? Can I share?
Oh
Do
yeah,
you remember, Shawn? Do you remember afterwards when we were all eating together there, and we went to some sports arcade there, and we were playing that hoop
Yes.
game, and the change machine was open on it, and we ended up playing hoops all night, and we were kind of like, yeah,
Yep.
Mark did this for us, and we just all had some laughs, and just kind of took a big burden off of
Yeah.
the incredible emotions that we were all feeling at that time.
I just remember passing the sacrament with Mark one time, and we shouldn't be talking about this, but I'm going to anyway. So you remember the old days where we had the little prayer, and was sitting there in the pew, and it was Larry, I think me and Shawn, or I think it was Larry, Mark, and myself that one time. I don't remember Mark up there very often, but this one time I did, and the problem was you get the giggles.
That happened
And
every it didn't matter which one were there. Every
and you couldn't stop. Once you started, you
couldn't stop. I mean, all these people are looking at you to be the most serious people in the whole chapel, and you're sitting there busting your gut. Well, of course, with your head down between, you're way down there. But and all of a sudden, you could probably see my head bobbing back and forth, and they're probably going, "What the hell's going on?" And then we just attempt to sabotage any chance of the other person staying somber during the prayer. Or
yes.
Oh yeah.
Because I don't know if you remember, Shawn. You, me, and I don't know who was with us, but we were back behind it, and the little
you, me.
Well, so there was the prayer that you would pull out, and then you would say it in that microphone. Well, we decided to write a little note and put it on there that said like boo or something like that, So when they pulled it out, it would say boo. So like we pushed it up in there, and then midway through, when somebody's giving a talk, we decided to check and make sure it didn't fall back there. And when we opened up the thing, it slid over the microphone and just went. and you both put your heads down, and I was just left sitting straight up, trying not to laugh as everybody looked around.
You know, it was funny too with Mark. He had that smile, that devious, like I'm
Oh,
up
of
to
course.
something smile. You remember that, guys? Just that it'd be like a 50,000-watt smile that'd make everybody just like him even more. So that was the one thing I really remembered about Mark is just the friendly guy, the open, nice guy he was in terms of, especially with new people. That's one thing we talked about last week,
He was
Shawn, was
accepting of
It didn't
the
everybody.
matter
fact
who
that,
you were; he was going to be
yeah,
nice. And that's
Nope.
that is a universal
Yep.
truth.
He was
I
everybody's
mean,
best
I
friend.
can't tell you how many people
Yeah.
have told me how they just said, Mark always made me feel like he had always been my friend, and just, I don't. If you guys remember Andrew Anthony, he passed away a few weeks ago. But he became obsessed with Van Halen because of Mark, and he was his dad was one of the teachers at Kennedy Junior High, and because of that, I think he was maybe not well liked because his dad was not well liked by most of the kids. Sorry, Mr. Anthony, if you ever
I
hear
didn't
this,
know
but
that.
yeah,
I didn't know that.
his
yeah,
his
his
dad
dad
was an
was,
English
I don't
teacher,
know,
but he was
he had
kind
some
of a
funny
hard nosed,
things.
disciplinarian kind of teacher. So anyway,
Yeah.
I had
yeah,
no
he
idea about that.
Andrew Anthony Mark was nice to him when a lot of people were mean to him. And a couple of years ago, I remember Anthony and I were talking, and he just said that Mark made his life better because he was nice when other people weren't. And Mark, of course, was one of the most popular kids in the school, and because he was nice to him, other people started to be nice to him, and so that changed his life. And that's who he was. So and Andrew had a lifetime
Yeah,
obsession with Van
Andrew's a
Halen
good dude
after that.
too.
I mean, the guy had Eddie Van Halen guitar, and he learned how to play the guitar very well, in fact, all because Mark influenced him. So yeah, that's just the kind of guy he was.
That's cool.
So I got a funny story for you though, but can I give you two quick ones? Okay.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, two
I'm
quick stories.
gonna
Go for it.
not paraphrase, but I'm gonna give you the Reader's Digest so that it's not too drawn out. But okay, so the first one, we used to, as scouts, we'd go out to Skull Valley and camp a lot. Well, I got a couple stories about Skull Valley. Gosh. Anyway, so we were doing a Pony Express hike where we were just walking the Pony Express trail.
the fifth, the like
Yeah,
50-mile thing.
yeah. That just
Oh,
I'm thinking about that now, and I think that was insane. Why did Moral do that to us?
That, by the way, was my very
Was it?
first camp out.
I have.
Yeah, that was my
There's
very
pictures.
first one.
There's pictures
Yep.
on Facebook of that, Brent. So
Yeah. Yep.
we
I've
were.
seen him.
It was
Yeah.
snowing. It was chilly, and somebody got the idea to put rocks in backpacks, and I thought that was funny.
Yeah.
So I put some rocks in Mark's backpack, and I wasn't smart enough to put them down low. I put them at the top, right? So it was top heavy. So I don't know why, but we all hauled off and we were running through some snow, and he trips, and because this weight is at the top of his backpack, it made him do a flip in the air. He tripped and he did a flip in the air and landed on his butt, and I think it might have knocked him a little silly because I'm pretty sure he saw Tweety birds. But that was hilarious, and that's a good memory for me because we were always playing jokes on each other, and as friends, all of us, and that was just a good memory for me because I mean I'll never forget his legs just
That
whoop, you know
that that night, I mean, that was honestly like that was my first camp out, and I was nervous, and I think it was only like you guys' second camp out. And I remember Mark saying I was staying in his tent, and I remember Mark said, "Just pretend like we're back home and it's just a sleepover.
Yeah.
It's all it is." It just like that little bit there just made me feel so much better, you know. But God, it was cold.
That's funny.
Yeah.
God, it was so cold.
I remember.
Yeah. Well, we'll be back next week, and we'll actually have a subject next week. But we appreciate this is a catch up with Shawn episode, and Shawn, hopefully we can see you at a few more of these. Right?
It's looking better.
How's your schedule looking?
Yeah,
in the
work
near
has been
future?
living hell, but it's getting better. So
okay.
Thanks.
Well, hey man, welcome back.
No, you're fantastic, guys, and thanks everybody for listening. Appreciate everybody for listening, and good talking to you guys, man. That was fantastic.
All right,
we'll talk to y'all later.
Bros.
Thanks for listening to the Three Dad Bods podcast. Let your friends know we're on Spotify and Apple, and don't miss an episode. Rock on.